Hello everyone, my name is Shooting Star, also known as Runner, and today I'll be taking you through Another Aloalo Island, or Aloalo. It's a very interesting name, I would say, but unfortunately this video might be a bit longer than usual, because this Criterion can actually be quite difficult. There's a lot of mechanics that are happening, and some of them require some setup, some thinking, so I will try my best to explain most of them as thoroughly as possible, as well as maybe some other ways of thinking about the mechanic that might be easier for you. Hopefully this guide can serve you as a way of clearing the fight if you're interested in getting the mount, because the mount itself is like pretty alright and sells for quite a nice price. But if you aim to clear the Savage version, I also have got some partial Savage footage. I've not have the whole Savage footage unfortunately, but hopefully this Savage footage can aim to give you some understanding of mitigation and that kind of stuff, because the upgrade materials to the Tombstone's weapon, to 665, actually have a pretty nice glam, as you can see. Like, for example, this is the Samurai weapon for the Tombstone glam upgrade, and then here you have the Reaper weapon as well. Now, unfortunately, I can't show the glows, but you can check these out yourself at Roset Han, at the usual Tombstone vendor. They actually all have some pretty decent effects, and hey, if you want to be best in slots, then you can do that through clearing the Savage as well. Of course, it is quite challenging to do the Savage, so I would encourage you to do the normal a couple of times to get used to the mechanics before hitting Savage. So definitely get comfortable with that, and hey, that's what this guide will be for. So as usual, I will have timestamps for every mechanic in this fight, so please make sure to skip ahead to those mechanics that you need, and then you can prog from that point onwards whenever you are in trouble with stuff. So I will play the footage here, and I can just give some commentary on whatever is happening. Usually the Savage and normal are the similar ways of clearing it. In Criterion normal you can sometimes just pull multiple adds here if you want to challenge yourself a bit, but in Savage you definitely cannot do that. So here, this is the lead hook that just does a massive tank buster for 3 hits. So you just probably mitigate that. And then you can see these like tornado spawn, right? These tornadoes are coming towards us, and another tank buster is happening at the same time. So this tornado is going this way alongside the rock, that direction, and this one will go this way alongside the edge. Now that means that everything is going clockwise alongside this area. So once you know that, you just gotta make sure you dodge all those tornadoes, because they do a knockback and do like a 60,000 damage in normal, but in Savage they one-shot you. So the second tank buster, since you already kind of used your mitigation, you just invuln it, and you have a dot that you need to cleanse. So that's the healer's job, and the tail crude is a front cleave, so don't face him. Alright, this crab does a stack, so just properly heal and mitigate. And after he's done that, he will do a front side cleave into a back side cleave. So always be on the sides and you'll be fine. Gotta be careful of those tornadoes though. Don't get hit by those. Of course, the autos do a shit ton of damage as well, so you gotta be careful of the tank's health while this is going on. This is only a Savage, of course, and Criterion, this is kind of a joke, so you don't really have to worry about it as much. Alright, this Ray will cast Hydro Cannon, which is a front side cleave. Just be on the sides or his back, both work. There it is. And then Expulsion, which means you gotta be away from his hitbox, out of melee ranged. I can kind of see the circle there. And then after that, Electric Whirl, or Whirl. Be inside of his hitbox this time. You can see the donut. There you go. Alright, once that is pulled, you can get the Monk. This Monk will always prioritize the DPS and healer first with like a little flare above his head. Now that will do a knockback and put a dot on them and do some damage. So as you can see, they do a shit ton of damage here in Savage, so gotta be careful of that, but in normal it's not as much damage. And after he's put a dot on every player except for the tank, he will do a tank buster in the tank. So just do a lot of mid on the tank as well here. You'll probably be fine. And then repeat from that, right? Naturally try to kill this thing as fast as possible, because their healer is kind of struggling, as you can see. It's a lot of damage going out, so healing through this can be quite tough. In Savage at least. In Criterion, it's not that bad. On to the first boss. I will show the savage footage for the first boss as well, just because I can show the whole fight. Alright, Ketuduke. Now there are some mechanics here that Party Finder might find more optimal, but I will try to explain this in the easiest way I can, so that you might have an easier time of understanding all these mechanics. Tidal Roar. Every boss always will do a raid wide first. Now this one also has a bleed, just heal and mitigate. Alright, Spring Crystals. This will drop some crystals on the ground. Okay, so these crystals you can see are kind of orientated in a certain way, right? You can see the crystal over here is like orientated like so, and this side is kind of open, so it's gonna cleave this vertical line, right? This is gonna get cleaved, so this is getting cleaved, this is getting cleaved, this is getting cleaved, etc. But he's gonna also do this cast called Bubble Net. Now this Bubble Net does some damage, but it also will give debuffs to players, right? You can see I have a bubble debuff, and 2 people will have a roll or a bind debuff, not a roll debuff. It is roll based, however, this time, so always there will be a 2 binds on DPS or 2 binds on the supports, and then you just kind of resolve the mechanic from there. So in this case, you can see the spring crystals also have bubbles. Now let's see what it does first, and then I'll explain it later. We also get stack markers, which means we gotta be in a certain spot. Alright, now this will all get pushed in a certain way, right? Now it makes sense that 1 will get pushed first and then 2 will get pushed second, right? And these pushes always are 2 squares, so this crystal will get pushed over there, and then once it's over there, then together these 2 will get pushed in this direction. Same goes for this side. This crystal will get pushed on this square, and then this pair will get pushed over on this square. That's how this mechanic kind of works. And then we have this stack marker that goes off, right? So we have to make sure we're in a certain square such that once we get pushed, we align or land on someone else that we can partner with. So we align ourselves like this, and then I will get pushed onto the tank. Alright. Now how do we resolve that, right? How do we think about where to go? Because it's not a lot of time, but we can already resolve this mechanic fairly like quickly. So once these spring crystals spawn, you can already think about what is safe and what is not. Because these crystals that cleave vertically, this one over here and this one over here, are always the 1 squares. Or, yes, so this one is a 1 square, this one is a 1 square, and that means that this one is a 2 square, and this one as well is a 2 square, or quadrant, more likely. Yeah? This is a whole quadrant. This is number 2, this is number 1, this is number 2, this is number 1. Now, what's gonna happen is that 1s always get pushed horizontally, right? So this will all get pushed there, this will all get pushed to that direction, and then 2s will always get pushed vertically. So this will get pushed south, and this will get pushed north, right? Hopefully that makes a bit of sense. But if we know that, then this mechanic can already be resolved before Bubble Net really takes place. So we know that if let's say so since this is 2, this crystal gets pushed this way onto this square, right, where I'm standing right now. And then since this is 2 as well, this one gets pushed over there and will align with this crystal. So what is safe if this gets cleaved and this gets cleaved, right? It's only going to be this square, and for this side it's only going to be this square because this crystal is getting pushed here, so this gets cleaved, and then this crystal south is going to cleave all of this. So this square is safe over here, and that square is safe over there. Now those are the safe positions for bubbles. Okay? Now the people with binds have to move somewhere else depending on whether it's stack or spread, and I can explain that in a bit. But let's say you have binds, you won't get pushed, right? But you would have to see what is coming at you. So in this case, we wait for the bubble net. We know. Oh, let me just remove all of this real quick because that's kind of annoying. Alright, so the bubble net lands. We can see we are the bubble, so we already know what is safe. We just go here, right? This is our safe spot. and then for Oldinho it would be here. All right. Now once that's happened, then we just wait for the stack or spread. Now we see that it is stack. If it is stack, we have to separate ourselves. So we have one person on this quadrant, one person there, one person there, and one person there. Since this is 2 over here, this is 2, this is 1, and this is 1, and this is 2. We can kind of predict where the binds go as well. So since Proc has to, in this case, resolve his bind on this square, we can see like, okay, this is gonna get pushed there, cleave all of this, cleave all of that, and that's gonna get pushed 2 squares over there, right? So this will be cleaved for Proc, and this will be cleaved, so this square is safe for him. Another way of thinking about this is actually very, very simple. You can always think about it that if this square is safe, then 2 of it to the, or if this square is safe, then if it was spread, for example, if this square is safe where I am, then Proc is always with me. But since this one is 1 square away from where I am right now, then it's not safe, because it's always gonna get pushed 2 squares, right? So in this case, the spread position safe value will be over in this square. But since it is stack, Proc has to go over in that direction, because this crystal will get moved there. This crystal will together will go in that direction. Anyways, that's how you would resolve this mechanic, like with all variations. I will show this mechanic, or this mechanic will return later in the fight, so it might make more sense once the spread happens there. One thing you gotta be careful of with stack is that you align yourself such that once you land, you are actually correctly positioned with your partner. So you can see Rody here actually moves a bit more north, so he aligns himself with my bubble. There we go, I land perfectly on his head. It's a bit annoying for uptime sometimes, but you know, you gotta just resolve it and not die, and that's the priority here. Alright, next up, he casts Hydrofall. Now, Hydrofall is always a stack, so that's easy to know. And this stack, since it's stack first in this case, and then spread, we have to be with whoever else is on this south side. So since I'm with Proc in this case, you can have whoever else you want here, but I'm acting as the range, so I'm just going to be south of him. We stack, and then these bubbles spawn, and we just go behind the bubbles in the clockwise direction because the other ones are coming at us. And then I move middle for the spread. Just go in between these, squeeze a bit, and then the spreads resolve, and there you go. Make sure to dodge the puddles that spawn underneath you as well. It's a bit scary, but you can always resolve it that way. Another Hydrofall, so another stack. This is always the same, it's always stack, but that's only because this is an in and out mechanic. Strewn Bubbles is gonna spawn these things that you might be familiar with from Variant. And then Encroaching Twintides means it's gonna be a donut into a dynamo. So that means you gotta be in and then out. So we stand in, and you can see this water like coming here, right? These portals don't do damage itself, but once it's like this whole square is filled up with water, it's gonna explode. So we have to make sure we're on this one. Alright, and then we move out of it. And since this just exploded, these 2 squares south, we just move into that one. There we go. That's that mechanic. Alright. Hydro Bullets. Now this is a mechanic that might be a wall for some PF people. It's kind of tough to resolve sometimes, but there's multiple ways of like going about doing so. So these ants will spawn, these crabs, and you might know that these crabs usually do like a front row cleave in like normal content, and then another crystal will spawn. Now these crystals will always spawn in a formation such that either east-west is safe, these squares, or north-south is safe, so these 2 squares and these 2 squares, like these 2, right? Or that all corners are safe, so this square, this square, this square, and this square. In this case, you can clearly see that with this crystal setup, east-west is safe. So we position ourselves east-west, and just go into those positions. And then bubble net happens. We get debuffs again. Now these debuffs are not role based anymore. You can clearly see that I have a bind and Rody has a bind, and then a healer and the melee have a bubble. Now how do we resolve this mechanic? You can clearly see these crabs have bubbles and these don't. Now what's going to happen after this? The boss is going to do an updraft, shoot everything up into the air, and the crabs that are bubbled, they will shoot high up in the air, while these ones stay on the ground, right? Now the people that stay on the ground want to bait the crabs that get launched into the air, because they all will do a proximity bait cleave on the closest player. So you got to quickly move to these, bait them away from everybody else. So these people will, like, everybody here will have to bait people or bait these ads away from everything else, right? That's the idea of how this works. And then we have a certain system that we can use to easily identify where we're going. So a way that Party Finder has found a solution to this is the Abyssos snake priority in P8S, if you might be familiar with that. You can also do something else here, but what I do here is I always take the first one counterclockwise, and then I make myself a line such that if I move clockwise to it, I'm always going to be good. So since I have bind, I want to bait either this one or this one. So I'm going to move over to 3, but since it's east-west, I'm going to be on this side of it and then move towards it so that I bait it over here. That's the idea. And then Rody will do the same. So because he has the other bind, right? So this tank will do the same. He will go towards this edge of it and then move clockwise and bait it there. So that's how this mechanic works, and you can clearly see how we move here. It's kind of similar to that. There you go. You can see these caves are quite large, so make sure to like bait them in this way. And then these get shot up, nobody takes damage, and you're good. There we go. Now there's other ways of solving that mechanic. Feel free to do some fun stuff. I will post a raid plan later that we're still making, and then that might benefit you in doing like a certain static mechanic. Alright, next up is a mechanic that starts with either a stack or a spread first. Now since it's harder fall, it's a stack, so we are split up into pairs and then do the stack. This is always roll based again, so always have the DPS and a healer or tank and another DPS with the other one. And now since it's stack first, we're gonna get knocked back into a stack. Now we just anti-knockback here and just chill, so we have uptime. And then the stack drops and then we split for the spread, right? And now the area is divided into 2. A bunch of crystals spawn. Now the crystals all spawn on that side. What does that mean? Well, one of them, one person on that side will have to get pushed over to this end. Because the next thing that happens, you can see, after this bomb on that, we get the, we don't get debuffs this time, but there are some towers that spawn and bubbles as well. Now there's 3 towers on this end. There's 1, 2, and then the one more south here. And then there's 1 tower on that side. So one person has to take a bubble from there and take it this way. Now as you can already see Rody's already in a bubble there and he's coming this way, so that's already resolved. And then one person of us will have to soak this one and the other one will take the one south. That's kind of how we resolve this mechanic. An easy way to identify whether you have, because the person that has to get sent over is always going to be either on the north or the south side. It's never the middle. So an easy way to identify where that will be is to check where the crystals spawn. Now you can see a bunch of crystals spawned on the south side, but not a lot there. Now, from my perspective, you can't really see this very well, but there should not be a lot of crystals up north, so that means the person that's going is always... Usually we have supports going, but if you have like a range that they can have full uptime, then they can go. You kind of can decide it for yourselves. But since we know that all these crystals kind of spawn there, that he will take the north one. Now, let's say all these crystals spawn there, then he will take a south. And then we would have to take the north one and middle one. Anyways, that's how this mechanic works. It's not that hard of a mechanic, but You just got to be aware of like how the possible variations work here and the details of it. Now there's a little yeah, so we identify where we go, and since he's going north, we're hogging more of the south side. You can see we're like adjusting to the south side, and we go to the upside position here, and then we move into our respective meteors. Alright, that's basically all the mechanics of this fight. Now it will repeat into the spring crystals that we saw at the very start, and since it was stack at the very start of the fight, it's going to be a spread this time. Now, what do? We again identify this crystal on our side, which is going to get pushed 2 squares over on that side. So we know that, you know, this whole section is going to be unsafe, and this whole section is going to be unsafe, so the bubble is over there. Alright, easy. Now where does the spread go? Well, since it's going to be a spread marker this time, the spread, wait, where does the spread go? I mean, where does the bind go? The bind has to be together with the stack on the 2 quadrants, because this is 2 and this is the 1, right? Now, if it's stacked, like you have separate, but if it's spread, you all have to be on 2. That's how this mechanic works. So I already know where I'm going for bubble, but if I have bind, I gotta check, like, okay, since this is safe for bubble, how many squares are in between me and the next vertically cleaving crystal? Since there's 2 squares, I can be here as well for bind. But if this crystal were to be over here on this square, I would have to move 1 south. That's the way I solve this mechanic. You can probably also have like more efficient ways of doing this, but yeah, we'll make a raid plan for this later, and then I will post it in the description. All right, let's continue. I don't want to waste too much time on this mechanic. You can see where I'm going here very clearly. Since this is savage, it takes a bit to kill this boss, of course, but if it was normal, you could have already killed it here. So you can see we both go on the same square, as I said. We already figured out the mechanic before it really started, which is actually quite nice because it saves a lot of brain power. Alright, Hydrofall, another stack. This is another in or out, and since we had in into out first, now it's going to be out into in. So we just do it. Receding, this is the other one, so encroaching was in into out, receding is out into in. And there we go, we just go into one that just exploded, and we resolve the mechanic. Not that bad, and that's Ketuduke. Now, this is actually quite complex, and like I find this a quite complex fight compared to most Criterion first bosses, but some might disagree. Especially if you go through it the first time, it might be quite complex. Anyways, add phase. We always go and target this guy, and you can see that the ads around us have like either a shield over there or like they have certain buffs, right? Now this guy has a buff which makes him do more damage, and the other guys have a buff which make them take less damage. Now to take less damage, these guys are basically invulnerable. You can't really kill them, so we just kill these ones first. So this guy will start with a mechanic that you have to interrupt. This is the ancient era, I think it's called. So we just pull this guy all the way north. Ancient era, yeah, this has to be interrupted. Please interrupt this, or it's gonna be like basically a wipe. Now, since this is a savage version, the auto attacks will do a shit ton of damage as well, so the healer gotta be aware of that. But in normal, it doesn't really do that much. Tornado will put a flare on someone, basically. It's not gonna be a flare; it's only gonna be a bind. Please do not be with this person because it's like an AOE-ish that binds other people as well. You can cleanse this with a Suna, so cleanse it and then go away from where he cleaves. This ovation does a cleave for wherever you bind it. There we go. And then once this guy is dead, we take the guy. You can see every buff swapped, right? So this guy just had a damage up. Now it has a vuln or shields. Well, now it has shields, so all the buffs swap, right? So now we take one of these golems, basically, or the owl keepers. We just kill the golem. We're gonna take an owl keeper. We just switch around that every single time. So next we kill this guy. Now this guy will do like some raid AoE with burn. So I'll just heal through it, kind of. Ancient Quagga. Very familiar name. If you're doing this on Unreal. Just make sure to properly heal and mitigate, and you'll be fine. So you can see this north spot is actually quite nice. not very hard. Gravity force is attack, so just make sure to heal that. And now you can see this Owl Keeper is approaching us, so we want to not kill this guy, so because we have to take the other guy first. So we just kill it from a distance, kind of. The Owl Drop is a close proximity AoE, so just drop that, or go away from it. This is a bit scuffed, but yeah, normally this guy would have already been dead, so we just kill it quickly. And now the buff swapped again, and we take this guy that's over there. Now you can already see we're kind of lost here, but that's because because every time we kill one person, the next ad you can see is already moving super fast. This guy is actually zooming with speed, so you gotta be aware that you might have to walk around and dodge wherever they're patrolling, like quite quickly. But anyways, this is just a repeat of mechanics right now. You just gotta make sure that wherever they're patrolling is not where you are fighting the current ad, because if you pull two at the same time and they're gonna go through their mechanics and you don't have them killed at a certain time, they're gonna enrage. And once their enrage is finished, it's a wipe 100% of the time. It's quite rare to have ads have an enrage mechanic, but I guess they wanted to add that so you couldn't cheese it in speedruns or something, which is disappointing, but hey, it is a thing. Alright, so we know what happens now. Yeah, this is not that interesting. Let me just skip ahead so I don't waste your guys' time. On to the second boss. So, for the second boss, we have the normal version, because I feel like it might be nicer to show you what you can do on a normal version on this boss, because it has some mechanics that you can just fairly easily skip through. Inferno Theorem is a raid white, as always. It always starts with a raid white. This doesn't have a bleed, which is nice. Angular Addition. Boom. Something happened. Maybe you didn't quite see it, but this boss just got a buff. So if you look closely, you can see that the boss just got this 3 marker, which means he's gonna do something, right? Times 3. Okay, this makes maybe some sense once you see what happens next. Okay. So what happens here is you have a safe side over here, and it's gonna get rotated this direction, right? Counterclockwise. Now since he has the times 3 debuff, it means it's gonna do it 3 times. So over here, over there, and then over there. So this will be the safe spot, right? Over here is gonna be safe. But there's like multiple ways of thinking about this. You can think like, okay, he's gonna do it 3 times, so this will be safe. Or you can think about it, okay, it's gonna be -1 from where he's rotating. So if you think about it counterclockwise, -1 is gonna be over there. The other buff it can possibly have is always either 3 or 5. Now if it has 5 with this pattern, it would go over here, right? It's a +1, because it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. So it's +1 for 5 and -1 for 3. That's how we usually think about it. But the one more thing you can think about it is, since this is safe right now, just follow whatever way it's rotating. So since it's facing this way and it's rotating this direction, this will be safe if it's 3. If it's 5, this doesn't work, but this is something you can do for 3. Now, that's all the ways I can possibly think about the safe spot, but yeah, maybe this can help you with thinking about it. So we move over here, because that will be safe. And this is a mechanic that is very much a core mechanic, and we will turn a couple of times. So analysis is next. Kowalski analysis, very funny. And we get this, which you might be familiar with from alliance raids. We have a safe spot, which is like over here, that we need to orientate towards certain things. Okay, what are those things? Well, let's see. Okay, some stuff happens. So we have a blue square. Now this square is gonna move in this direction, fill it up. So you cannot stand here at all. This is gonna all be unsafe. And once it's gonna go over here, it's gonna rotate and then push it this way. So the safe spot is gonna be vertical here. You can also see it on this side, these arrows. So you can quite clearly see that there's gonna be one of these from this side. That's gonna go all the way here, go back, and then fill all these up with squares. Now if you don't want to worry about like which line is safe, either horizontal or vertical, you can just always hug this center square and just hug the boss. So you don't have to worry about all that. The only thing you have to worry about is going to be which orb, so you can see there's an orb here on the side, which orb is gonna explode first. There's an orb here, there's an orb there. Now those orbs are gonna do like a raid-wide damage, and you wanna make sure you angle your safe spot towards those orbs. And since this one's gonna explode first, the south one, we wanna orientate it towards that, and then do the next thing. So that's what's happening here. I'm orientating to that orb. Boom, it explodes. I'm good. And now he's gonna do this, right? This time, it might be very important. This is my own debuff, and this is the boss's. So the boss is a 5, which is a +1. It's rotating counterclockwise, so this way. This is the safe spot over here. We just go here. This you don't have to worry about for now, so don't worry about it. Go to the safe spot. Boom. Alright, sick. And now we orientate our safe spot towards the other orb that has yet to explode. So over there. I orientate it. Boom, nice. And now this happens, where we have the thing rotating such that it's gonna go clockwise for me, but 3 times. So if I have to face it towards the boss, I have to face it towards the boss in this case. My safe spot should be on this side because it's gonna rotate it 1, 2, 3. But it's kind of hard to do that if you're like attacking as well, etc. It's kind of oh, this is my bad. So in this case, you got to be very careful with that. It might be easier if you have like north or south. I do it correctly in this case, but yeah, you gotta keep in mind that you can just completely heal through this mechanic and fill everything, as long as you are sticking through the center square. If you have enough heals, mids, you can just completely fill everything and still be alive. Just have a damage down. So that's one way you can do it. In Savage, I would not recommend that because you would most certainly die. Alright, Tank Buster, Strategic Strike. This hurts a bit, but not too much. And then we go to the few bit harder mechanics of this fight. Planar Tactics is the one that people might struggle with for a bit. Alright, we have all sorts of squares, square spawn, and the boss is casting Arcane Mine. Okay, so that means he's gonna place mines, right? And we all have this debuff. Okay, let's just not focus on this. We have a forward march, okay, so we're getting like forced marched into a certain direction. And then we have this, like what the fuck is this, right? This is a debuff that means you have to soak 3 mines. And you can see that the tank has a one where they have to soak 2. There's another one with 2, another one with 1. Now it's always a 3-2-2-1 pattern, but the stacks in this case is a 2-man stack and another 2-man stack. This can be different. So how do we set this up? Well, you can see this empty square, right? We want to make sure we all soak these mines such that they all get soaked in the end, and we also resolve the stack at the same time. So as you can see, let's just watch what we do here. Since I have the 3, I go all the way out. Orientate my camera, because here the debuff resolves. You can clearly see that I have it going this way. And since I have 3, I would need to be looking in this direction, and then 1, 2, 3, and I would resolve it. Right? And then I would move through all of these, and then hopefully align myself with someone that's coming through from this side. That's what I would do, and then you have the 1 and the 2. The 1 goes this way, soaks this square, and then keeps forward marching in this direction. But I would already have soaked this one by now, so that would have been perfectly fine. The other 2 will go this way and very much hug this side and not that side. That's not good, because then they will be able to do the stack marker with the 1 debuff, right? So they will go this direction together, and that's how this mechanic would be solved basically. So as you can see, what I do here, I align myself. Now there's one thing that's important, but I'll explain it later. I align myself, we go. We do the Pac-Man sounds, and then we solve the mechanic. Not that big of a deal, but there is some necessary requirements that you need to be aware of. So this is basically how it looks like. We orientate ourselves alongside the wall where there's the empty square. 1 will move towards this end, right? The 2 will move alongside him. But you have to maybe swap. The 2s maybe have to swap. So let's say this has a stack, the 2 has the stack, and the 3 has the stack. Then it's fine, right? You can be like this, because this will end up here, this will end up here, that's perfectly fine. But let's say, in this case, the 3 has the stack, and this 2 has the stack as well. Then that doesn't work, right? Because both of the people here will end up on the stack, and they will just kill each other. So these 2s need to swap positions, such that the stacks will resolve naturally. So how do we do this? We just always like find this square, take that as like north or south or whatever you want. Just align yourself on this side of it, and then go towards that, and these people will go this way, right? That's that mechanic. It's not that big of a deal, but it can be quite tough to like grasp, and especially with these orientations, it can be quite tough to figure out how to do that. It's a bit of practice, but you'll get used to it. Alright, let's move on to the next mechanic. Strategic Strike. Alright, Tank Buster, cool. Not a big of a deal. The next one is Spatial Tactic again. Oh, what are we getting this time? Hopefully not the same mechanic as last time, right? Nope, it's something else. So, this time, you might be a bit familiar with this orange thing, so we have to soak something, right? But this time it's like a square-ish. Like, okay, we have to soak squares. We have someone that has 2, someone that has 1, someone that has 3, and someone that has 4. Okay, so we have to like soak different things. Arcane Array, so we have like a setup of stuff. Okay, what the fuck is going on, right? Anyways, we have those squares. So we are kind of familiar with this from earlier. This one is gonna explode, this orb, and then it's gonna go this way, this way, this way, and then like all these things are gonna explode whenever it hits it, right? Since this is gonna get hit, it's gonna cleave the whole room and remove one of these things, because it is any geometrical shape. It's not only squares. It's kind of misleading, but this thing will also remove 1 stack. So once this is hit, then I will only have 1 stack, and then I only need to remove 1 more. So how do I do that? Well, I do that by just hugging center. Very simple. I just stick center the whole time, as you can see here. Easiest pattern for me. And you can see the others are actually moving around to reduce their stacks such that they resolve it. And then this one happens again, so just resolve this as well. This is a +1 to the left, so this is the safe spot. Alright, let's just scroll back a bit. Let's see the other possible patterns for it. So if you have 4, for example, and you do not manage to reduce all your stacks, it's going to do a raid-wide explosion, insta-wipe. So it's better to get hit by as many as possible, because if you get hit by 1 extra, it only gets the damage down. Now in Savage it probably will just kill you, but yeah, it's better to actually focus on resolving this. So once this pattern spawns, you can very easily think of it in this way. So if you look this, you can see whoever has the 4 debuff, they will orientate themselves such that they are aligned with this geometric shape and this one. Because this one explodes first, that's gonna be like, makes it 3, right? And then this AoE is gonna reduce it anyways, because it's like a raid-wide AoE, so that makes it 2. And it's gonna go all the way here. This is a geometrical shape as well, actually. It's blue because it's not important for 4, but this is one as well, this is one as well. But like if these all cleave this directions, then 4 won't get hit there, so it's not really much of a bother. But this is the starting position of 4, always. So they get hit by 1, which makes it 3. They get hit by this one over here, which makes it to 2 stacks. And then it goes this way, la la la. And then this goes this way, la la la. And then they just stay put, and then they get hit by this one, which makes this one 1. And then for the last one, they just have to move into this square, right? So you can see that's what this arrow means. They just move into this square for number 4 to get hit by that. Now 4 is definitely the hardest one, because like 3 is like just kind of chilling here for the whole time, and then they just have to make sure they get hit by the last one once they like reaches this one. And for 1, you can just start in the center, because you want to make sure you only get hit by the raid-wide explosion and nothing else. So once this is done, you can just move over in this direction, because nothing else is like cleaving this line, right? So what do? We always find like the vertical line here that's safe, or horizontal in this case. Can also be that this is safe, and you just orientate yourselves in this way. So then like 4 could be here, etc. But that's how you would solve it. So as 4 you always find the 2 geometrical shapes and just squish in between it. As 2 you always just hug center, easy peasy. If you are 3, you go to the one between the orb and the 1 geometrical shape, and then move into the thing as soon as the like since this is done and then this is done, you can just move into here to remove it, your last stack with the center. And that's how this resolves. So 1 just goes here, once this one is past this one, because they can dodge it, and then once it's past this one as well, then one can move back in to not get hit by anything except for this radio wide. Yeah, that's how this works. Props to Procchop for making this one. Yeah, let's just watch the video again and continue with the mechanics. So we know how to solve this now. I'm not gonna show you again, but I hope that might benefit you for every point of view. Another raid wide into another raid wide. 2 raid wides in a row can be quite tough to heal through, especially on Savage. So just properly mitigate it. Oh, we skipped the first raid wide, but yeah. Anyway, Symmetric Surge. This gives us debuffs. It's always going to be on the DPS, so that doesn't change. Nothing really special for now. Alright, so we see this tree spawn. They're going to cleave the lines that they are on. So this is going to get cleaved, this is going to get cleaved. Okay, not that big of a deal right now. And then Arcane Plot is going to spawn these things again, and those are going to drop the squares. Now if you follow these lines, oh, whoops, you can see that it's going this way, and then this is all going to get like squared up. This is all going to get squared up, this is going to get squared up. And that makes like this section like safe, right, to stand in. So as a group we want to be here. We would prefer to have we would prefer to have the melees over here and then the range over here, because the tank will have it pulled over there. And then since these trees are gonna like cleave these lines, we want to make sure that we are positioned on these two, like these 2 squares and these 2 squares. So there's a tree that's cleaving this one, not this one, this one, and this one, yeah. Then we're gonna position those squares, and what's gonna happen next is we're gonna have flare on us. Just give it a moment. The squares are going, you can see it enclosing us or encasing us. Arcane Point, we're gonna drop squares on ourselves, and then we have to make sure we move out or in depending on where we drop it. So let's say we dropped it on the outer edge here, then we would have to move in wherever we just got cleaved. Rule of thumb, just always move wherever it just got cleaved. Yeah. So in this case, we just stay here, we dodge the cleaves, and then we move into just where it just got cleaved, but not where the other guys are, because they otherwise won't have any room. We want to make sure we go to the edge here. And now we have this, we drop this all the way in the corner. So we have a little safe spot, pocket that we create, and we move into that. And then we create or solve our 2-man stacks. That is this mechanic. It always can be resolved this way. You can maybe resolve it in a different way as well, but this is very easy and simple. It's a bit annoying if you have 2 melees, but yeah, that's kind of how it is. Another tank buster, and if the healer decides to heal, that would have been totally fine. A raid wide. And then after that, it repeats the mechanics from the start. Alright, that's the second boss. Might be a bit tough, but it's not too bad once you kind of get used to the mechanics. It's mostly getting used to the rotations, and once you're used to that, it's no big deal really. Alright. On to the third boss. Statice. The fairy. Alright, so let's look at Statice. This is a POV where we did all the mechanics pretty cleanly, so I'll just show this one. Battle starts. Alright, let's go. Now this boss will take quite some time to explain, so hopefully you can forgive me for that. Arrow 4 is a raid wide, as always. Trick reload. Alright, the boss is gonna do something where it's gonna load the gun. So this Statice boss, the fairy, is gonna load the gun with charges or with bullets. Right? You can see it. It charges once, twice, thrice, 4 times, 5 times. Oh, never mind. That one failed. So it charges 5 times and then fill, and then another one, and then another one, and then another fill. So it always fills twice and loads 6. Now the order in which he does this is very important, because based on the first bullet that happens, so the first bullet, if it succeeds, if it's a good bullet, if it's not dropped on her head, then that means she has the ability to shoot the comet that's gonna have or spawn next and split it into spreads. Now if it's a faulty one, that she does not have that ability, so it's gonna be a stack. So you can hear the trap shooting. She summons a meteor, shoots into the air, and then shoots it with her magazine. Since we know that her first bullet, her very first one, was a normal one, she's able to split the meteor into things. That's kind of how we theorize it. And then there's gonna be spreads. Okay, cool. Oh, what the fuck? Numbers. Okay, we have to go to a certain spot. Now, how do we determine which of these spots is safe? Well, we count. How do we count? We count like this. Hopefully this makes a little sense, but what we do is we always don't count the first bullet, because the first bullet depends or determines whether it's going to be stack or spread first. So let's say the first one is a faulty one, the one that drops on your head, then it's stack. But in this case it was spread first, because this was like one of these bullets, right? But let's say it's a faulty one, then it's stack, and then we count 1, 2, 3 charges, and then the next faulty one is the one where we say, okay, it's 4, right? So you can count it like that. You can maybe count it a different way, but let's say for example it's like a good one, a good one, a good one, then a bad one. That means it's spread, right? Spread, because this is a good one, and then it's 1, 2, 3. So then like the safe spot would be 3. That's how you can think about this mechanic. Hopefully that makes a little sense. It took a while to figure out, but yeah. There you have it. Let's go back to the PV. Let's go back a bit to like show you the example in this case. So, alright, spread. So that means, because this is a successful one, right? It's spread, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 4 is the number, and it's spread first. Now after it's spread, it's also always gonna do a stack after. So we type in chat spread 4, so that we can remind it for later. Very beneficial, especially if you're like busy focusing. Okay, 4 is like south. One thing to that might help in like going to these positions fast is that 1 will always be north. 1 is always here, 2 is always there, 3 is always here, 4 is always here, 5 is always there, 6 is always there. Always. So you can always already like kind of think of where to go. Since 4 is safe, you just go straight south, and that's a safe spot. So you can kind of think like, okay, from A clockwise, it's 1, 2, like 1, 2, 3, etc. This is important for later in the fight, but yeah. This is a nice trick to very easily find your safe spot. Ring of Explosions is going to summon a bunch of bombs. Like very star or Christmas tree formation. And one of them is going to light up. Now since this one is lit up, that means this one is going to explode and this one's going to explode. So this is safe, this is safe, this is safe. And you can kind of spread in these positions or stack in case it's stack, right? Since we spread it first, it's stack now. So what we can do is, since center is safe, we can just stack center very easily. So that's exactly what we do. Hog center. There's other formations of this, but you just gotta be aware of which bombs explode and then stack wherever they're not exploding. Now if it's spread, then you just spread out in those corners that I just told you that are safe, like over here. Not a big of a deal. Alright. Alright, now she's gonna do it again. Alright, so we just count again. 1, 2. Alright, so the first one was a spread, and now this is gonna be the 1. So it's spread 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so 5 and spread first. You can see we type in the chat. Now Ring of Explosions is next. A bunch of bombs that spawn. We find the ones that explode. Alright, we found it. It's the same pattern as last time, so this one is exploding, this one exploding, this one exploding. These ones are all safe, and since it's spread first, we know we're gonna have to spread around. Alright, cool. But now it's all gonna get rotated 4 times clockwise. So we find the safe spots that we just had. We determine that, and then we go spread around in certain things. But then we also have this, like we have this color pattern, this dartboard, and then we have these shock debuffs. Now these shock debuffs are gonna drop a dart on any of these colors and then shock every other color similar to it. So if I were to drop this on red, then this red will get shocked, this red will get shocked, etc. So what we do is we all get one color, because it's only blue, green, and red, right? So very easily to think is that we always have the healer take green, the tank take blue, and the DPS take red. Because it's color coded, right? Very simple. But there's one person that won't have anything, so in this case the tank doesn't have it, and then you can assign one person that can adjust, or be the adjuster in this case. And since in this case that was Aldinho, then we have the samurai go and take the blue one. So that's how you can solve this mechanic. And while that's happening, you want to make sure you spread around and dodge the bombs. So I'm taking a red one, and then the samurai is going to take a blue one. Alright, so the tank didn't spread correctly, that's why he died. That happens. We still resolved the mechanic though, so that's fine. Alright, so remember the number that we had? What number was it again? It was 5. This is very important, so we can count from A. This is 1, this is 2, this is like 3. This is 4, and this is 5. 5 is over here near 3, so we want to make sure we like go and stay there for now. These balloons are gonna grow, it doesn't really matter, not important. Alright, cast bar done. Once this new cast bar starts, pop anti-knockback. Right now. Right now, start or pop it. You can also pop it like just before this cast bar starts, but it's very important that you do so, because what's happening is these very small line AoEs, maybe you can't see it, but this very small line AoE over here is going to cleave these balloons and pop them, and that's going to create a knockback. Since we know 5 is safe, we want to make sure we stay here and don't get pushed around. So anti-knockback is very, very nice for this mechanic, because we can just stay here. Boom, we dodge it because of the anti-knockback. And we dodge the second one, alright. And the second explosion, there we go. We dodged this one as well because our anti-knockback lasted for the duration. Now if you get knocked back here, that's totally fine as well. Now what's happening next is this forward march is going to happen, and then we have to make sure we know whether it's either going to be stack or spread. If it's spread, we want to make sure that we have already assigned positions or markers that we take. In this case it was spread first, so we do stack second. In that case we can decide like, okay, let's all go like south and go through the boss towards A, and then stack over here with our force march, right? But if it was spread, for example, then I could say like, okay, I'm taking Delta, so I'd go with my forward march towards Delta. Tank always takes A, healer always takes C, the other DPS goes Beta. That's how you would solve this next mechanic. In this case it's stack, so we all go like underneath the boss-ish, or we just all go towards A, like something like that. And there it is. Alright, we have done all of the mechanics of this fight. Onto the 2 hard ones. These mechanics that are gonna follow after this are the ones that everybody has had struggles with, and I believe that I have found the solutions to every single variation of these mechanics, so I will take some time to explain them. Alright, bombs are spawning. We know that bombs are spawning. Okay, cool, we are kind of familiar with this by now. These ones are gonna explode. Okay, so this whole section is unsafe. Now this triangle, take this triangle as the new north, or beta in this case. Like you take beta as north, right? This triangle is unsafe. Take that as take this as north. Oh, sorry for that. Take this as north. And then once that's done, present box appear, and we're gonna get tethered to stuff. You can see I am tethered to a missile, while this tank is missile to a hand. The samurai is tethered to a hand, and the healer is tethered to a missile as well. So what we do here is we want to take these missiles to the edges of the arena, while these hands collapse onto a safe zone, or a safe square. This side is an east-west pattern, where the enumeration would go south. So enumeration would go that way, while the missiles would go this way and that way. Now since my missile is like starting over here, normally you would say go opposite side of your missile, but the missile is kind of a weird position, so I would always prioritize east, while supports will always prioritize west. So I would go this direction, supports would go that direction. Always make sure that you know that this is north, this is like east, and this is west, right? That's how you would solve this mechanic. So as you can see, we stack together because we will get chains. The people with missile will get chains. We just stack on the bomb, and then go to the east-west positions that we talked about. Go all the way to the edge. The chains will break. Huge AoEs explode, and the people with hands will have an enumeration that they resolve as well. Now for the people with hands, you gotta make sure that you loop around a little bit. as you can see here, they kind of let's go back a bit. So you can see the tank didn't move straight south, right? Because you want to make sure you create as much distance to the hand with you as possible. So you kind of loop, and then I'll go over here towards the south safe spot. You have a bunch of time. I believe it's like 14 seconds from the moment the present box drops and spawns the hands and stuff before the detonations go off. But yeah, just make sure you use your time and then go towards the south safe spot. So he has an enumeration and goes with the one to the south safe spot. I go to the east safe spot, and the healer has a safe spot over there. And then they stack south and are outside of our AoEs, and that's how we resolve this mechanic. Not too bad, and then the tank buster happens. Now this is the easy variation. There's another variation with a different setup of bombs. Now let me show you how that works. That setup that I'm talking about looks like this. As you can see, the setup is a bit different this time because the bomb exploding is this one, and this one's gonna explode, and this one's gonna explode as well. So what are the safe spots in this case? Well, it's gonna be north actually, and then like south. This zone is like kind of safe as well, right? So what do we do here? There is one way to solve this that we figured out, is to have missiles go north and south. Missiles go north, south, and then enumeration will go depending on where these bombs spawn. So one thing that is a key thing to realize here is that this bomb spawns on like an interjection of these donuts, right? Spawns like on an interjection, and this bomb over here spawns on the orbit of it, but it does not, like, it's not like over here, right? It's not over here where it's like interjects. So this is the safe spot because this bomb is gonna explode, but then this zone over here would be safe. If this bomb explodes, there's nothing here that's gonna be safe. Like even like maybe this section will be safe, like this very short section over here, but like it's so small that no human being could probably fit in it. So what is our strategy here? We have one missile go straight bullet north because this bomb over here is gonna be the new north. He pulls it north. This is gonna be the missile over here. Pulls him north, and then this guy that's tethered to this missile will go south. And then once this missile goes south, they will go a bit more towards that direction once the chain is broken, so that the people with enumeration can go over there in this direction. So the people with enumeration always have to look out for the bomb which interjects and go opposite of it. Hopefully that makes a little sense. So find the bomb with this pattern where it goes like it's like intersecting with the two circles or the two donuts, and then enumeration goes opposite of it. But you have to make sure you loop. So like these hands need to be like baited like over here, and then you go there. And this hand needs to go here and then there. But the chains need to make sure they straight bullet this way and then like a bit over there, and then this one can basically kind of chill there. That's how you would solve this mechanic. I'll show you a clip of how this would look like. So let me just get the clip up. There we go. Let me just skip ahead a bit. Alright, here we go. Alright, so we get tethered, right? North is safe in this case, we know that. I have a missile. And I know that my missile spawned a bit south-ish, so I know that I'll be going towards the north side. Like over here, I'm just going bullet straight north, while the other guy was gonna bullet straight south. And then the enumeration have to check like, oh hey, this bomb is on an intersection, right? So the enumeration has to be opposite of it over on this side of the map. There should be like a safe spot like south of this bomb. That's how this mechanic would resolve. So the enumeration needs to like loop around over to that area, loop over there, and the chains will go straight over there into like this little spot, and then the other one will go straight south. Now let's see how this looks like. Boom. There we go. You can kind of see how that looked like. That looked like pretty, like, not too bad, right? So that's from the chain mechanic. Let me just pull another POV up. This is with the enumeration, with the same Christmas tree or star pattern formation. So in this case, I have a hand instead of a missile. Tell it to me. So what do? We wait for the things to spawn. Okay, we can already see this one is the safe spot. because it's not interjecting while the other one is. You can see I rotate my camera to check the other bomb, and yep, this is indeed getting interjected by two bombs. So this is unsafe, and the enumeration has to go to this area, right? So what I do with my hand is I go a little bit north and then go and stack over there with the other hand pair. And then the missiles, this is one missile, they will go straight south. This is one missile over on this end, and they will go straight north. Alright, let's see how that looks like. You can see I'm like just kind of waiting. I could have just moved more, but yeah, I just use a dash and it resolves. Not too bad. So to give an overview of the different positions for that, this is something that Workshop made. Credits to him. These are all the different variations that can happen in for that mechanic. So we have these two are theoretical variations that have never appeared because I believe they are not resolvable in any way. But these 8 are all variations that have occurred. So you can kind of see, like, okay, if it's like the Christmas tree pattern with these 3, like a north safe position, you want to make sure you have the like the missiles go north and then south into these positions, and then make sure that this enumeration over here, because there's an interjection on this circle and this circle, right? And then here's an interjection as well, so the enumeration should be on the opposite side. But here it's swapped around. The interjection is here, so the enumeration goes on that side, and here as well the interjection is there, so the enumeration goes there. Not too bad. And for the east-west pattern, where it's always like this, it's always like this with the like in any pattern really. So for this one you gotta watch out a bit, but for this one it's like always the same. Very, very simple. Alright, hopefully that kind of clarified how the mechanic works. To make another picture that I drew up, this is kind of how that would look like. I just kind of made this in paint, it's kind of funny. Anyways, this is the picture you want to look at. I'll post this in the description of the video as well. Hopefully this might help a bit. Alright, let's go back to our video that we were looking at. Go a bit ahead towards the last couple mechanics. Alright, so this is where we were at. Tank Buster happens next. And then we go to the last couple of mechanics of this fight. Now, this mechanic, Pinwheeling Dartboard, is the hardest mech of this whole Criterion. Let me explain why. This dartboard happens, right? Okay, we know kind of what this dartboard does, right? It like creates shocks on certain spaces. Okay, not too bad. But in this case, we don't have 3, but only 2 debuffs, right? We only have 2 of us, which have a debuff. In this case, these 2. And then there's 1 over here on blue that is gonna get shocked. So what do we do here? Is we want to identify the corner which has the 2 remaining safe zones. So since blue is getting cleaved, we want to make sure we like end up on the edge where there's going to be a green and a red. So here's a green and a red. So this is a nice spot to be in, right? We want to go like be over here kind of. But also this can also be a good pattern, because there's a red one and a green one. So you can also be over there, or you can be over here, or you can be south over here. So those are all like positions you want to be in, right? So which one do we pick? Well, that depends on what happens next. So we wait a bit, and then these rotating, or well, these cleave spawn, and they're going to rotate clockwise. You can kind of see that with these arrows. These arrows rotate clockwise direction, right? And then this like AoE spawns on the, or cleaves both of the ones that we want to have. So take this as the new north. This is going to be the new north. We take that as the new north, and then this is going to be the east side. This is going to be the west side. This is south. Think about the mechanic like this, okay? This is going to benefit you very much a lot. So what we have is a clockwise rotation, right? And then what we want to do is you have the enumeration pair, because it's very similar to the last mechanic. We have chains and then an enumeration, but no missiles this time, no hands. It's just an enumeration that needs to be solved with the shocks. Like the shocks need to be solved at the same time as an enumeration. And we have the chains together that do like a huge like AoE, right? So how do we do this? We have the enumeration go to the north, and they will go on these 2 squares to like basically stand there and just plant their ass, and they're gonna just chill. Now the people who have chains, they will have to start very center and then one person will have to move on this perpendicular line, because as you can see, there is a perpendicular line that's going from this over here all the way throughout the rest of the arena, and then perpendicular to that is this line, right? And as I said before, this is a nice safe spot, this is a nice safe spot, and over here on this end is also a good safe spot. So the people with chains have to go in these directions in this case. So how do we do that? Let's just go back a bit. So what we prioritize, we would say, is the DPS always go east. So this is the east one, right? Oh, let me grab the thing. This is the east side, right? So DPS go this direction, and since this is rotating clockwise over here, DPS can go straight there. You can just go there right away and chill. Alright, cool. So what do supports do? Supports would want to go there, right? But since this is rotating clockwise, that's unsafe, so they go loop around it for a bit. Alright, so that's the thing. But then once this is resolved, once this like rotates a bit, the tank can go and like claim a spot where they can drop their shock, etc. What we do is we always have, once you go into these positions, so like all the way to the edge here and all the way to the edge on this side, over on this side, then we want to have the people who have the chains drop one south relative to north. So since this is the north, right? This is the north. Once you're here and have done your tether or chain, go one square south. So this guy will go one square south, and this guy will go one square south, because this is a green, and this over here will be a red. You can't see it because it's off screen. But that's always like how you resolve that mechanic. And then depending on the shocks, the enumeration will have to look out for whichever square they have to be on with the shock that is remaining, so they don't cleave each other with the same green, right? Because let's say the DPS is going this way, he has a shock, he goes always on this, then the enumeration has to make sure if they have a shock, or whoever is with the enumeration that has a shock goes on red, right? Because if they are both on yellow, they're gonna kill each other with dropping the darts on the same square. And that's how you resolve the mechanic. So hopefully that made a little sense. An easy way to think about it is that DPS always go east of the like for the chain. Supports always go west, and if the DPS, so DPS always are red rolls, right? So this is like a red roll DPS. If they match the color of the rotation, so in this case it's like red because it's clockwise, the DPS can go straight there. So DPS go if the color matches. If the color mismatches, you have to wait and then go behind the thing. So in this case, since it's red, it mismatches with blue from the tank, for example. So the tank has to wait and go like a loop around to get to the safe spot. That's maybe an easy way to think about it. I actually have a raid plan for this that I can show you. Let me just get that up real quick. So this raid plan also goes through all the description, all the basically every single step of this fight or of this mechanic, and does a very good explanation of doing so. I will link it in the description as well. So take your time to go through it thoroughly if you're a bit confused about how this works. Alright, let's show the footage, because we pre-position on the east side as DPS, makes it a bit easier, and then we get chains, and then we have enumerations. Chains go all the way center, I just go straight to the edge, hop, right, and then chains are released, I go one south, boom, everything resolves, and then we have to move immediately. Keep moving clockwise, because these AoEs are almost gonna kill us, right? So, gotta watch out for that. But that's how you resolve that mechanic cleanly. So hopefully that makes a little sense. Now, if you don't want to bother with all of that, you can also just have one of the DPS sack with the chain, and preferably also a shock. And then it's very easy to resolve it with a damage down, because you just have to like chain res people if you want to really, really desperately get that clear, right? But for Savage, I feel like this is definitely the way to solve it. Anyways. The last few mechanics of this fight, let's just take a look at those as well in case you want to clear Savage, but normally you would skip this. But just for clarity's sake, I will show the last mechanic as well. So let me get the VOD for that. So this is a VOD where we did the last mechanic. So the raid white happens. Beguiling Glitter. Alright, we all get these forward marches, and two of us have a lower duration than the other. So you can see Rhodey in this case, and the other guy, was it? So this guy. Wait, that's a bit unclear color. So this guy and Aldinho have a shorter duration than me and the healer. So what does that mean? Well, we have to resolve our forward march a bit earlier than them. Alright. So what's gonna happen? She's gonna do another trick reload, so we just count the thing again. We skip the one, we skip the first one, so it's a stack, because she failed. 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay, so 3 and stack. We stack first. We just hug the boss. Very easy. We just hold DPS here to do the mechanic, right? Alright. Present box, okay, cool, yeah. Now remember that number? What was the number again? It was 3. Okay, so clockwise from A, we know that this is gonna be 2, and this is gonna be 3, near 2, right? So we wanna like be around the 2. Now you can see that 2 people are actually resolving their march very soon. So they have to make sure they forward march into the safe zone on 2. So you can see them do that here. And then I already go out all the way and just chill here. And I can start worrying about what happens next, right? Because you can see these bombs spawn. This one's gonna explode, this one's gonna explode, this one as well. And what I can do is I can say like, okay, hey, I'm gonna do a forward march into a spread position, because stack was first. And then I can like forward march on like A, or like on B here, or like over here. I can just communicate that with my team. You can establish a system for that. But now these two got they just got their forward march, right? They're forward marching towards this, so they don't get hit. You can see them do it. Alright, so the tank didn't do it correctly, but yeah, that's kind of how this would work. And now I would resolve my thing so that I don't get killed by any of these bombs, and then that's kind of it. It could also be that you have to forward march everybody into a stack together, so beware of that. So now it's 2 more raid wards and then some rage, and that's the whole fight. Alright, I hope that helps you guys with making or creating some clarity on this fight. Yeah, I hope this can benefit some of you with clearing it. It's a bit of a longer guide than usual, but I will try to make timestamps for every mechanic so you can skip through it. Please give me some feedback as well. I would love to hear what you guys think of like certain strategy you might use for stuff, and stuff that might be easier to use than others. I would love to hear from it. I will try to develop a raid plan for all the different bosses that we can use in Party Finder soon, so we can like use that for farming and that kind of stuff. And yeah, I wish you the best of luck in grinding to Savage and maybe get those glam upgrades for your tombstone weapons. Enjoy the evening, guys, and have a great evening.